In Alabama, heroin overdoses outnumber deaths by suicide, accident, and homicide. While you wouldn't touch heroin with a 10-foot pole, 4 out of 5 users started with something you probably have at home. Modern medicine is awesome. We don't have to suffer like our ancestors. We can cope with depression, alleviate pain, and fight diseases that killed our grandparents' grandparents. But you can have too much of a good thing. It takes just 28 days to become physically dependent on opiate-based prescription drugs. Synthetic opiates like Loratab are dangerously similar to heroin. So it's no surprise some people can't stop taking the pills. 70% of abusers get painkillers from somebody they know, and often move on to heroin because it's a whole lot cheaper. But the potency of heroin is wildly inconsistent. You never know how much or how little of the pure drug you'll get, and the purer the heroin, the more likely it will kill you. Opiates are prescribed for everything from sports injuries to dental work. The number of prescriptions written for opioid painkillers rose 300% in the last 15 years. Alabama is tied for first place for the number of opiate prescriptions per person. As prescriptions rise, so does the number of Americans who are addicted. 52 people die every day from prescription opioid use. And in addition to the emotional cost, the U.S. economic toll is great, at over $55 billion annually in healthcare, workplace, and criminal justice costs. If it were 1970, we'd likely respond with an aggressive law enforcement effort, putting dealers and addicts behind bars. We've learned that the solution is more complicated than that. In recent years, the government responded to the upswing in pill use by better regulating prescriptions and making it harder to abuse prescription painkillers. But regulation isn't enough to stop addiction, and it's clear that sufferers simply move on to the more available alternative: heroin. So we're looking at the issue for what it is, a public health crisis. A solution is going to take better health policies, more effective law enforcement strategies, greater funding for substance abuse treatment, and additional clinical research and education. But our biggest challenge requires all of us to change. Our greatest enemy is stigma. We have a mental picture of an addict, but that image couldn't be further from the truth. Opiate addiction is tearing through communities of all sizes, races, and income levels. It's time we saw people suffering from addiction for who they really are: our friends, family members, and even ourselves. If we can change the conversation, we can save lives. Here's how you can take action. If your doctor recommends an opioid painkiller, talk with them about the risks and make a plan for what dose you will take and for how long. Store the meds securely and out of reach of others. Never share your pills. Dispose of leftover pills at a local drug drop-off location or use a drug deactivator. If you feel like you can't stop taking the pills, tell your doctor, a family member, or a friend. Share the facts, share this video, or share your story, and you will spread awareness and lift the stigma that prevents so many sufferers from getting the help they desperately need.